Thank you for staying with us. We're trying to hook up with Mazi Ibe, Paul Ibe, the media advisor to His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, Vice President of Nigeria, 2007, 1999, I beg your pardon, to 2007. Good morning, Mr. Ibe. Are you hearing us clearly now?
Yes, good morning. Thanks for having me. I hope you can hear me now.
Loud and clear. Thank you so much. So before we lost touch, I asked a question and I said, Waziri Atiku Abubakar affirmed to a coalition against Tinubu in a press conference in the course of the week. Now, is it safe to say that the PDP as an opposition party is the party leading this coalition? And if that is the case, why is that?
Let me state clearly and unambiguously, what you have in this coalition are co-equals. They are every member of this coalition, every group, every individual, are bringing, their strengths, into this coalition. So it's a co-equal coalition that we have. And the intent is very clear. It's to redeem, Nigeria. There is no doubt about it that we are at a crossroads, and we have seen a situation where gangsters, and predators and marauders have taken over the political space. Democracy is at risk, and liberty, freedom are all at risk. So these are men and women, patriots, who are coming together and with one purpose, which is to rescue, this country from the clutches, of this, destroyers of everything that we have cherished in this country.
All right, Mazi, this coalition was coming on the heels of the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. Now, do you think this declaration was the last straw for the camel that broke the camel's back, given the fact that some people actually think the coalition is a tad belated? Do you think the declaration of state of emergency was the actual blow that led to this coalition, making them abandon every other, agenda to pose a common front? What are your thoughts?
When you're building a coalition, it's there's a process, involved. It's akin to when you're, when you're marrying. When you want to marry somebody, you have to court the person, and you have to assure the person that, if it's a woman, that you, the man, well configured, to taking care of her, to providing for all of her. So there's been a process, has been involved with this coalition. Maybe possibly it's a coincidence of sorts that it's coming to fruition at the time when, the ill-advised, reckless, irresponsible, and very partisan declared state of emergency in Rivers. Let me tell you one thing. All of what happened in Rivers and all of the other things that have happened with the conscription of our democratic space, with the denial of freedom and liberty to, so many Nigerians. We knew about the case of Dele Faruti and so many others, journalists. All of that are indicators of, the fact that this administration, has been focused on the politics of 2027 instead of, on governance. They have not made much of the mandate that, was given to them May 29th of 2023. And they have dabbled into, politics and trying to see how they can, using the playbook of the military to arm twist, Rivers and all of that. So it's an ongoing thing. The same thing is also ongoing in Kano. you can see clearly that the objective is to ensure that they use the instruments of state, the military, the judiciary, to be able to achieve their end, which is at variance, with the interests of Nigeria.
All right. Mazi, you have also alluded to, or rather, let me take it from this point of view. Going by your analogy of a man wooing a woman, it is clear that it is the man that is taking the lead. Are you saying it's PDP that is wooing other parties? And if that is the case, do we see Waziri emerging as the presidential flag bearer of the coalition come 2027?
I don't think, let's not put the cart before the horse. The objective right now is not about, who becomes presidential candidate. It's to be able to build a very, robust, coalition that is big enough to accommodate, the diverse interests, of the different leaders and stakeholders who are coming together. I mean, what is happening as we speak is that Nigeria is on itself as a country and as a people. We are at a point of an emergency. And so it is important that we all come together, to be able to, harmonize, our strength. So it's not about, we can, like I said, you can't put the cart before the horse. It's not about, who emerges as the, the candidate and all of that. That's not the intent, of all of this. It is to redeem Nigeria, like I said. It's not about, sharing of the booties and all of that. No. As we are now, the leaders are working, to ensure that, they have a robust, coalition, strong enough, to be able to, oust, the current incompetent and, clueless, administration. Let's look at what happened in 2023. The APC of, Bola Ahmed Tinubu scored, about 8.79 or thereabout, million votes. The Waziri Adamawa, about 6.9. Peter Obi, His Excellency Peter Obi, 6.1. If you combine that, the two, major opposition leaders, we are looking at a total of 13 million. If you add to about 1.5 of His Excellency, Rabi Musa Kwakwan, so we're now looking at 14.5 million. And that's, it's a strength, that the coalition, is bringing. The aggregation of all of those, strengths, we'll be able to oust, these, characters who are very preoccupied, in dividing, Nigeria. And that's what they're doing. It's a politics of divide and rule. And it is better for, for us to integrate, our strengths so that it becomes difficult for them to have their way. This is what this is all about.
All right, Mazi, your permutations actually sound good on paper, but the question is, given the recent happenings in Nigeria and in the political space, do you think the coalition is able to woo all these people and bring them to the table to have a common front and to be able to pull the strength that they did in the 2023 elections? Do you think is workable given a lot that has happened in the political space in Nigeria?
Come again, I didn't hear that, please. Take it again.
I said your permutations when you were making your calculations about the strength of the coalition from the 2023 elections. You said that they stand a chance if they can come together, given the numbers they pulled at the last election. Do you think that this is just looks good on paper? Is it something that could be some sort of a reality, given the happenings in the political space in Nigeria between 2023 and now? Is it possible that the coalition can pull all these opposition parties to the table and have a common front?
Listen, let me tell you, on our own part, we had an internal poll. We did internal polling, and it was very clear from the result, from the outcome of that poll, that this was the direction that Nigerians, wanted. And shortly after that election of 2023, His Excellency Atiku, having reflected on what went down in that election. And I believe the same also happened to other opposition leaders. They were very clear about the direction to take. And it will be assured if they come together. And right now, I don't know what you mean by the dynamic. The truth of the matter is that the average Nigerian is poorer, can barely provide, for their families. Inflation is at an all-time, high. The prices of, foods and commodities, and these are clear indicators of, where Nigerians are, at this point in time. And I don't want to believe that Nigerians would want to continue, the maintenance of the status quo, of an administration that doesn't know its left from its right, didn't come, prepared, is incompetent, is clueless. All of the policy prescriptions that they have taken, has pauperized our people. And so Nigerians, in their numbers, they cannot wait for the end, of the mandate of the APC administration, and so that they can, do the needful. So, I mean, it's in Nigeria, it should be Nigerians, versus, the APC administration has handed over to them the shortest end of the state. In nearly 2 years, they have been, running things in our country.
All right, Mazi, do you think that there are some lessons that this current coalition can take or glean from the strategies of the ruling party APC in 2015 when they successfully took over power from the PDP? Are there some strategies? Are there some tips? Are there some, because you did say that there are laid down procedures towards any form of coalition. Are there some lessons they can learn from the APC in 2015 when they took over power from the PDP?
Yes, there are plenty of lessons to be learned. Recall that before the APC came into being, His Excellency former President Muhammad Buhari, who was to say the senior partner, quote and unquote, in terms of the weight of the votes that he had in the ballot. 2011, he had 12 million, votes. His undoing was I didn't have the spread, so that was the benefit. That was what the ACN of, Bola Tinubu brought into that, coalition. It gave it, the spread. At the end of the 2015 election, they scored, over 14 million, votes, which meant that if you remove the 12 million, Buhari had, and which was, a constant, in all of his outings, it meant that, what was added, what was new, was about 2 point something, million. And, like I said, more importantly, what the Tinubu's, faction, what the Tinubu's group, brought, into that coalition was the spread, that enabled, Buhari to be president, in 2015. Yes, we are looking at numbers, we are looking at spread, we are looking at possibly, what happened, in 1999 when the PDP came into existence. And so, there was a need to form a pan-Nigerian party, a party that accommodated, diverse interests, which in itself, it's a measure. It brings, it brings unity, it brings stability, into the system. So yeah, there are lessons to be learned, and we are going to use their, what they had used, against the ruling, party then, President Jonathan, against them. So, and some of those people are, who did, the magic, are currently with us.
All right, Mazi. During that press conference, His Excellency P2B was conspicuously absent. Does it point to the fact that Labour Party might not be willing to join this coalition? What are your thoughts?
Who is that? Who was absent?
His Excellency Peter Obi was absent. He wasn't, in the press conference when this
Yeah,
conversation went down.
His
Is
Excellency
it an
Peter Obi
indicator
was
that Labour Party might not be part of this coalition?
no, 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 no. We overthink some of these things. As a journalist, I also know what it is to cast headlines and all of that. And there is a tendency to think that, it wasn't there and that becomes the story. No, we had already traveled, before, that press conference. And Dr. Atiku, who is, a strong ally and associate of His Excellency, was seated right there at the right-hand side of His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, representing, Peter Obi. So it's not the only one. There were other leaders who were supposed to be there. Some had traveled to Saudi Arabia for the lesser Hajj. Some were already out of the country. Nobody envisaged, that the reckless and irresponsible state of emergency was going to come. What was playing out was the script of the Minister of FCT, to have Governor Fubura impeached, and all of the things that happened with the state of declaration. Well, I scripted, it was they were the ones who did the destruction of pipelines because they wanted to create a condition precedent, for the state of declaration. All of that was because what was done.
Is there proof? Is there any proof? Is there any proof
Sorry?
to show that they were responsible for the vandalization, or is still an
They were
allegation?
responsible for it. It's become difficult. It is difficult for an average Ijaw man or woman to do what happened in Ogoniland, because that was in Ogoniland, and it's a difficult thing for them to do. Ogoniland is a sacred land, of the Ijaw people. So one does not expect that they will do that. So these are, we have seen this kind of flag operations, before, and it was clear. It is very clear that it was, done by, the people who wanted Fubura out of this thing, to create a condition precedent, for that.
All right. Do you see any roadblocks against this coalition move, and what would be those roadblocks? Because we've had this conversation where some quarters are thinking that the coalition is a little bit belated. However, do you see any other roadblocks towards a successful coalition given the 2027 elections that are coming up?
I don't understand. Come again, please.
Do you see or envisage any roadblocks towards the coalition that have commenced among the opposition parties? Are there any roadblocks that you foresee? And if there are, could you tell us those roadblocks and some of the mitigation plans that you have? Because some people have actually felt and have said that the coalition is belated and they might not have enough time for a successful coalition. So what is your thought?
Yeah, there will be roadblocks. There have been roadblocks, and there will continue to be roadblocks, created by, the ruling, APC administration of Tinubu. They recognize, they know that a formidable coalition such as, are being put together, it will, spell good, for them. And they are going to do, they have been doing, and all of the crisis in the PDP, in the Labour Party, in NNPP, other opposition parties, are all instigated by the APC administration, because they know that the only way they can have their way in 2027, is to decimate, is to destroy, is to weaken, the opposition. So they will continue to do that. But I'm, the confidence that we have is that the leaders, the major, leaders and actors, in this coalition, they have come to, see, clearly, the intents of, these characters, and they are, they are now resolute. They are determined, to break through all of those, obstacles for the good of Nigerians. Because otherwise, if they don't do, what they are working towards, democracy is, the death knell of democracy has been, this thing, and Nigeria, they envisage prosperity, growth and development, for our country is going to elude us. So clearly, the reason, like I said, why they are doing, what they are doing is to redeem our country, is to save it from, these marauders, these mercantilists. Corruption has never been this, has never been this bad. Dictatorship has never been this bad. Even during the military era, it was not like this. And we're all seeing it play out in real time. It's not just about the leaders of the coalition. It's also about Nigerians joining hands, working together, with them, to oust, these people who do not mean well of our country. They continue to divide us. They continue to weaponize, poverty. They continue to ensure, that all of our liberties, freedoms, are being stripped, away from us. So it is clear, from what they are doing that, their ultimate is a one-party state. A Nigerian that will be probably like, North Korea. That's what they are working towards. It's very clear, and they are not Democrats. They are not Democrats, and there is nothing that they have done, to suggest that the objective of, of this government is to widen, democratic space, is to preserve, freedom, and liberty.
All right, thank you so much, Mazi. Before we let you go, I have one more question for you. Now, you were His Excellency Waziri's Atiku Abubakar's media advisor when he was vice president. Now, could you tell us, in a nutshell, what happened during the state of emergency that was declared during his administration in 2024 in Plateau State, and why he's coming out to condemn the state of emergency in this administration? Some would view him as, being hypocritical. I don't know what your thoughts are, and if he is the face of this coalition, wouldn't it be some sort of a roadblock to, having people win other political parties to his side?
Oh my God, I didn't hear that, please. Sorry.
I said you were the media advisor to Waziri Atiku Abubakar when he was vice president in 1999 to 2007. And in 2004, there was a state of emergency that was during his administration on Plateau State. Now he's coming out now to condemn another state of emergency, of course, in Rivers State in this administration. Some would view him as being hypocritical in his approach. And if he indeed is the face of this coalition, wouldn't it be some sort of a roadblock when people view him as, not being, trying to be hypocritical, and cause a roadblock for, a successful coalition? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I'm happy you did say that Atiku was vice president. Atiku was not the president. He did not wield executive power. As a vice president, probably offer, his counsel and advice. It's up to the president to accept, or reject it. But we also, research will show, that after that, the matter went to court, and the court, affirmed that, what was done in terms of the removal of the governor was illegal. Perhaps that was what informed President Jonathan when he also, declared a state of emergency in 3 states in the aftermath of the Boko Haram, insurgency of Adamawa and 2 other states. And the governors were not removed. The lawmakers were not removed. I want to believe that it was in tandem, with, the Supreme Court, verdict, that said clearly that what we have done there, was illegal. Governance is a continuous, and so I think it will be responsible of this administration to want to take a cue from what Obasanjo did. I think the most recent thing, which was the Jonathan administration, to be a better benchmark, for them to use instead of having a recourse to the Obasanjo, administration. So we have moved from Obasanjo administration to Jonathan administration. And during that administration, like I said, governors and lawmakers, were not, removed in the aftermath of the state of declaration, in those states.
All right, thank you so much, Mazi Ibe, for your insights in this subject matter.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Still, we want to hear from you, so invite you go on over to our social media platforms at Signature TV Official on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram. Go like, comment, share. We really want to hear your thoughts on this.